Welcome to the September 2025 Water Resources Outlook. In the past month, across the Southeast, temperatures have been relatively normal or cooler, while precipitation has been below normal. Adam and I are here to discuss the dryness that we have been seeing and the upcoming weather pattern as we transition into the fall season. Jumping right into our 30-day observed rainfall, the entire Southeast has been below normal, with widespread areas of North and South Carolina as well as Alabama seeing up to 6-inch deficits. In South Florida and along the St. Johns River Basin, where rainfall totals greater than 8 inches were observed, there are pockets of above normal rainfall for the month. The rain in that area was due to lingering frontal systems off the Atlantic coast that are expected for this time of year. In the 90-day departure from normal, we see a picture of the rainfall for the full summer period. Significant rainfall events from stalled fronts appear in Georgia and South and North Carolina as above normal rain amounts ranging from 1 to 8 inches. In Central and South Florida, the rainfall season has seen some above normal amounts, but in Northern Florida and the Panhandle, they are below normal, as well as a large portion of the Southeast. The year-to-date departure from normal shows some spotty 1 to 8 inches above normal in every state of the Southeast, showing that there have been some wet periods this year. Deficits are not as wide-ranging as they are in our shorter-term views, but still exist, and largely in our coastal areas. Taking a step back to look at our stream flows in the 28-day time frame, average stream flows vary from normal to much below normal. The recent dryness has begun to impact some reaches, while others are maintaining from the sporadic rain events that at least provided some rain. Though there are river systems that have not begun to be impacted by below normal rainfall amounts, the most recent drought monitor, which considers many sectors of impact, does note abnormal dryness for 57% of the Southeast. Moderate drought is also occurring in widespread areas of western Alabama and South Georgia, while there are pockets in Virginia and the Carolinas that also fit into that category. The total area seeing moderate drought conditions is about 14.4% of the Southeast land area. Although things have been dry in the Southeast and we passed the peak of the Atlantic tropical season, the potential for development and impacts continue in the Atlantic basin for a few more months. That means we still have a chance to see tropical storms and hurricane development. And Adam will tell you more in a few moments about any potential that is on the horizon. This week is week 39 of the year. And since our rivers are typically impacted by tropical weather, and it is the Florida rain season, our flood climatology shows that this is a peak week for river flooding. Today, we do not have any observed rainfall-driven floods or floods forecasted, so this just shows the variability in summer and early fall rainfall for the Southeast. If you look at any of our maps today, you may see that we do have a flood down at Astor, Florida, and that flood is driven from wind. I'll now hand it off to Adam to discuss the upcoming weather pattern we have to look forward to before returning to discuss the long-term outlooks.
High pressure remains in place over much of the Southeast today, which will keep the region relatively dry and warm. Meanwhile, scattered storms are possible for South Florida. The high pressure will remain in place through tomorrow. However, a low pressure system located over the plains will begin to slowly move toward the southeast, finally bringing a chance of rain for much of the southeast by the end of the week. By Wednesday, the low pressure system has moved to the Missouri-Indiana border. Portions of the southeast ahead of the cold front will remain warm and dry. However, parts of Mississippi and northern Alabama may see light scattered rain as the cold front approaches. On Thursday, the front will finally begin to make its way across the southeast, bringing rain to much of the southeast. Behind the front, cooler temperatures and dry conditions will be in place. The front continues to move eastward on Friday, bringing rainfall to much of Georgia, Florida, Virginia, and the Carolinas. On Saturday and Sunday, the front finally makes its way to the east coast. Dry and cool conditions will be in place behind the front, while South Florida will see light rain at points ahead of the front. The 7-day precipitation forecast calls for much of the southeast to receive between 3/4 to an inch and an inch and a half of rain. Isolated areas in North Carolina and Virginia could see up to 2.5 inches. Extreme South Florida could see 3+ inches in isolated areas as well. The long-term outlook from the CPC calls for the southeast to receive normal to leaning above normal rainfall amounts in days 8 through 14. The 7-day tropical outlook shows the tropics becoming more active. Hurricane Gabrielle is not expected to make any impact as it recurves out to sea. There are also moderate and high outlooks for tropical formation behind Gabrielle. At this time, these potential storms are still too far out to make any confident predictions for their paths or impacts to the United States.
Thanks, Adam, for taking us through the rainfall and tropical forecast for the rest of September. Since our last WRO, we have continued to see minimal impacts from tropical formation. Tropical Storm Dexter formed off the North Carolina coast in early August, but was already moving eastward enough that it only produced some rough surf and high winds. Hurricane Erin formed in the main development region and became our first Category 5 storm of the season for a short period in mid-August. The outer bands of Erin produced up to 8 inches of rainfall on some parts of Puerto Rico, while the largest impacts of this system to the island and to the eastern coast of the U.S. were from high winds and waves. Adam discussed that the majority of the southeast may see normal amounts of rainfall for the remainder of this month. Moving into October, majority of the southeast has equal chances for below or above normal rainfall. Far northwest Alabama has a 30 to 40% chance of being below normal, while all of Florida is leaning above normal, with percentages around 40 to 50%. And this is as tropical season influences continue there. INSO remains neutral, but the Climate Prediction Center has issued a La Niña watch. There is a 71% chance of La Niña during the October through December period. In the new year, La Niña is still favored, but chances decrease to 54% in late December 2025 through February 2026. That brings us to our precipitation outlook for November through January. As a weak La Niña is expected along with the normal rainfall pattern for that time of year, below normal rainfall is reflected for the southeast. In Central and South Florida, these influences do not typically appear this early, and that area is reflected as equal chances of below or above normal rainfall. The weak La Niña is expected to peak during the January through March timeframe, and models predict that the westerly weather pattern of the season will lead to below normal precipitation for the southern tier of the southeast, while equal chances of above or below normal are predicted across the northern tier of the south. So, the bottom line, in the short term, we are expecting normal to above normal rainfall in the southeast. Though the Atlantic tropical season has been generally quiet, it is not over, and we should continue to monitor the tropics for development and potential impacts to the southeast. As we transition from INSO neutral conditions of the summer to a short duration La Niña in the late fall and winter months, the rainfall pattern may become drier. By the winter months, peak La Niña conditions may be occurring, but the weak intensity may allow for normal weather patterns to dominate the season. We'll be back on October 16th for the next water resources outlook for the Southeast.